and welcome everyone back to another episode of the What Was That podcast. I'm Jazzy.
And I'm Addi.
Where we live right now, the mountains are dusted with snow, and it is just stunning. It makes you want to take a nice winter walk through the forest.
Well, put your hiking shoes away if you're going to listen to this, because we're going further into the forest, and you might not want to come with us.
Story 1. So my buddy in Alaska had a story for me. He said he was walking with his buddy around 2 to 3 a.m. past the Palmer Fairgrounds last winter, when his buddy grabbed him and pointed across the road from them and said, "Look at that." And over across the road from them was what at first looked like a moose. It had a long snout, and his friend said he saw antlers. When it stood up on its hind legs, he said a couple feet taller than him from what he could see, and he's 6 feet tall. When it stood up, he took off running, and his buddy yelled and started running after him. As they were running, he said it was running alongside them on the other side of the road. He said it sounded like a man running bipedal, and its footsteps were extremely heavy sounding as it was running alongside them. After a couple seconds of running, he said his buddy whipped around and said, "Fuck this, let's fight it." And they started pumping each other up, and they picked up their skateboards to attack it. But then they turned around to try to find it, and there was nothing, and it had disappeared. They combed all over the area that they were in, but never saw it again. When they got home, they both had the exact same story, and both said they saw the exact same thing. So just curious on what y'all think, and if there's anyone in this area, or just Alaska in general, who has similar stories or experiences. I love that they're like, "Fuck it, let's fight it," after we've been running.
With skateboards?
I've never been hit in the face by a skateboard, but I imagine it would hurt. But also, like, a moose-like creature that you're going to hit in the face with a skateboard?
I would like to know where the skateboards came from. It's at the fairgrounds. Do you guys skate a lot at the fairgrounds in Alaska?
Okay, this first comment is like, so you want us to believe that you were skateboarding in Alaska in winter?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. What does the next comment say?
The next comment says, in Nebraska, I've seen kids bicycling at night in near blizzard conditions. So yeah, I'll buy skateboarding. OP said, I mean, it's not really that hard when you're on the side of the road. So, I don't want y'all to believe my buddy.
That's fair. They don't need us to believe anything. And I'm not saying I don't believe it, but I'm just saying it's funny.
Yeah. There's a few comments that are like, it would have been too icy to skateboard. And OP is like, we're Alaskans. What do you expect of us?
Also, that's not what I'm like. I just think it's funny that not you, but your friends thought that they could fight off what I would think is a Wendigo.
Oh.
I don't know for sure, obviously.
Everything you wrote, it's a Wendigo.
But, I mean, that's the only creature that has antlers and is like bipedal. Yeah. Yes, so
ew.
That's what I would assume is a Wendigo, which I'm not a professional, so I don't know.
This comment agrees with you. Sounds like they might have encountered a Wendigo. Point for Addison. She's so smart. Oh, this person had just watched The Ritual. That sounds like the same animal. Yeah.
The Ritual.
I watched that movie, like, not knowing what I was going to go see in theaters. Really? I was just along for the ride. And I was like,
I watched that movie like 4 times, and I still don't remember the entire movie. I know what it's obviously about. I know the ending and everything.
The movie's a fever dream.
It is. That's what. Yeah. It's pretty. Yeah. But I would assume that it's a Wendigo. So I think that's interesting, and I don't think that's like made up, but I do think it's really funny that they try to beat it up with a skateboard. What do you think?
That's hilarious.
Even if it's a moose, like let's take the supernatural or anything otherworldly out of this.
Yeah.
If there was a moose that they just mistook as something standing on 2 legs, which I'm not saying they did, but if that were the case, what are you going to do with a skateboard?
My best.
My best. That's all you got. Yeah. That is all you got. Because let me tell you something. You're going to be dying with that skateboard.
Yeah.
It's going to get angry. One of those antlers is like, I'm holding up my arms for the listeners.
Impaled. Absolutely impaled.
Not even, I mean, yeah, impaled, but also like you're getting like smacked across.
Yeah.
Moose are massive. They are so much bigger than what people think. And living in Alaska, you can assume that they're pretty familiar with
Yeah,
meese.
there's Mises be everywhere. Mises are like geeses in Alaska. Everywhere.
You're so true, Queen. Yeah, there are a good amount of mooses. I've never seen a moose, I don't think.
I've seen a moose.
I have seen moose pictures and videos.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of elk.
Okay. I've seen one moose in the wild. We were on the road and it was in the distance, but it was still massive.
Yeah.
As far away as it was. And I was like, glad we're in a car.
They're like bigger than cars.
They're bigger than cars and they're known to be aggressive. So it's not outside of the realm that it would charge you. Yeah, I will not be had by a meese. No meese will have heave me.
I'm so stuck on the fact that he said, fuck it.
No, this
It's
comment is also like
I'm
there are
running
people who
towards
are on the same train as you. Because this guy's like, this is wild. I want to meet the let's fight it guy.
You know that's the guy that like goes to haunted houses and just like punches the scare actors.
He's like
Sorry,
the
not
first
I hope
one in
it's
the
not
line.
He is. He's the
not
one who's
worried
like,
about it.
I popped my knuckles. That's
He's
what that
the
was.
come at me, bro.
He is, yeah.
Oh,
He's the guy that's howling at the moon.
It's scratching
I don't
away.
rip his shirt off.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could not be me. I'm too nervous and scared.
Same. Yeah, no, if there was like a moose bipedal person thing next to me, I would...
I've seen horror movies. I'm not going to make it till the end. Why am I going to tempt the fate?
I'm like, I would do one of two things. I would drop on the ground and pee my pants and cry.
Yeah, very, very
Or
quickly.
I would try to run, but end up not being able to run too much because I have asthma.
You and me both. I feel like if we were in a horror movie, you would make it just slightly farther than I would. Based on your knowledge of horror movies, but I'm going to take you knocks down for the asthma.
Yeah.
I also have asthma and a few other horror movie stereotypes against me. So
I also
you're
laugh.
outliving me for sure. But like
I also like laugh and get really nervous and like kind of freeze up when I get really scared.
yeah.
Like if somebody's chasing me.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that would also set me back a bunch because if Michael Myers is coming at me with a knife, I would start laughing. I would probably pee myself, but I would be laughing nervously.
Like nervous, yeah.
Yeah, and then that would cause me to be one of those bitches who can't get her key in the slot, you know?
Yeah. See, I've learned, okay, so my fight or flight used to be to freeze and then just fall over.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned recently that it is to kick the shit out of whatever is there because there's been twice where Leland has hidden behind something and I don't see where he goes because I'm paying attention to something else. And then I look around and I just see something crouched on the ground and my first thought is to kick the shit out of it. And then I make eye contact. I'm like, you are so lucky that I didn't do what I was just about to do to you because it wouldn't have been good for you. He has since kind of slowed down on that part.
I, last year when I was setting up for the Halloween party and I was doing the scavenger hunt, it was before anyone else had gotten into the office, or so I had thought. And I was hiding one of the little clues and walks in behind me and he just was like, hey. And I screamed a scream that was worthy of horror movies. but I probably scared the shit out of him.
He's so nice.
Because because I screamed so loud.
That's
like
so
it was like
funny.
a pure fear scream.
Yeah.
And I turned around and it was just him and I was like, I'm so sorry. And he was like, I'm sorry. And I was like, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't expect anyone and I'm hiding something, so I'm already trying to be
be sneaky.
secretive, and then you just walk in behind me and sorry.
And like knowing he's probably like, I should say hi so I don't scare her.
I'm also dressed as Pennywise too. let's not forget that part. So I'm like dressed as a scary clown and I turn around like screaming. Oh my god. I wonder what it was like from his point of view because
he's so mellow.
I wish I could ask him.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have anything else to say on this? Is there anything else to say on this?
No, people are just basically like, that is absolutely fucking wild. And even if it was just a moose, fighting a moose sounds insane.
I don't know why you would want to.
So, like, Alaskans and Canadians, I feel like, are the only ones in the world where I'm just like, I guess you would maybe consider that, because the rest of us sure as hell wouldn't.
Alaskans are a different breed.
Entirely.
A different breed.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of have to be if you're going to live in one of the coldest climates.
Yeah. Props to you guys, because I know I'm not built for it.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. If I go to Alaska, it's going to be on, like, a luxury vacation.
Yeah.
It's going to be, like, the most ostentatious wildlife. I'm gonna get a cabin in the middle of the woods, but it's gonna be a beautiful cabin with a bathtub right in front of the window where you can see bears and meese walk about.
Yeah,
that's what I want from an Alaskan vacation. Besides that, you won't find me there.
No, I come from 2 lines of hot weathered people, so.
I guess I do too. Pretty much all of my family has lived in Texas for a very long time.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I hate the heat and I hate the cold.
I like when it's perfect outside.
Same. That's what I wish it was a nice brisk 72.
Same.
You can have a 68 to 72.
I would love that.
That's fine. I'll give it to 75.
If we're feeling crazy,
68,
if we're feeling getting a little
if I wanna wear some shorts outside,
never do.
You know, if I want to wear some cute little Daisy Duke shorts outside,
throw on a little cardigan when it's night.
Exactly.
Done.
68, 65 during the day.
Oh, crazy.
To 75.
Very generous.
That's my range.
Yeah.
Anything below, anything above.
Honestly,
fuck you.
I will complain. I will file complaints.
I will complain every single day. I do now.
Mother Nature, have you considered being less of a bitch?
You know what's really sad is you're saying, like, dear Mother Nature, have you considered being warmer? Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, globe, earth, mother.
I don't mean warmer climates.
You know what? I'm going to stop complaining about weather from now on. I feel really bad putting it in this perspective.
I'll just move. You do what you're doing. I'll just move to the warmer parts.
You know what? You continue
perfect.
doing your life. I'll make my adjustments around you, baby.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah.
I came to the wrong part.
And I chose to live in a really bad part of the country for this. So
yeah. Could have done worse.
I don't have any other experiences because I've never been to Alaska. So
my mom is actually going to Alaska in, like, I think February for this ice carving contest.
Of course she is. Why would she not be?
Yeah, she's also going to Idaho, and I don't know why. She's like, oh yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow. And I was like, to where?
I did in the 6th grade in one of the, like, the history classes that you take. Everyone had to do a PowerPoint on a state in the country. Mm-hmm. And mine was Idaho. Mm-hmm. And all the kids in my class, I lived in Michigan at the time, so if you're listening to this someday, you know who you are. I was in class and I gave my presentation and I said, I'm doing my presentation on Idaho. And, sorry. and I was doing my presentation on Idaho, and these like 3 boys were like, Idaho.
Oh my God.
Got him! Got him!
That's so dumb.
Story 2. The Door. I lived in the Appalachian Mountains my whole life, where the woods are thick, tangled, and full of mystery. Growing up there felt like stepping back in time. We had no cell phones or gadgets to distract us, just the endless expanse of forest as our playground and our imaginations as our guide. My best friend Madison and I would spend hours exploring the dense woods behind my house, following animal tracks, climbing trees, and discovering hidden creeks. In autumn, when the leaves turned fiery shades and fell, revealing clearer paths, we'd push a little deeper each day. We'd mark our bases in the most secret nooks we stumbled upon, pretending we were the first explorers to find them. But no matter how brave we felt, we always stayed close enough to my house in the distance, until one day, when the forest felt a little more inviting, a little less ordinary, and curiosity got the better of us. We brought twine and other supplies that day, winding it around tree trunks so we'd find our way back. We kept walking, deeper than we'd ever gone before, until we reached a strange old tree that split in 2, like a giant slingshot rising from the ground. Right next to it, half hidden in the hillside beneath the pile of leaves and branches, was a rusty handle. As we brushed away the leaves, we realized it was attached to a heavy wooden door, embedded in the earth as if it was always there, waiting. Heart pounding, Madison and I both tugged on the handle, and the door finally broke open, revealing steps leading into pitch black darkness. Madison looked at me, unsure, but we felt compelled to go down. Maybe it was the mystery or the thrill of finding something forgotten, but we didn't hesitate. The air was thick and damp as we descended. When we reached the bottom, we found ourselves in a cramped room. In the middle of the floor lay a single worn photograph. I held it up to our flashlight and froze. It showed 2 children, both girls, standing in front of a house that looked eerily like mine. The girls' eyes were so dark and their grins twisted, a little too wide. Madison and I looked at each other, panicked, and then bolted back up the steps, leaving the photo behind us. When we reached the top, we looked around. Our path of twine was gone, as if something or someone had unraveled it. We blindly ran back through the forest, finally reaching my house. We burst through the door, breathless and wide-eyed. My parents immediately noticed something was wrong. We tried to explain what we'd found: the strange door in the hillside, the steps, and the photograph. My mom's face tightened with concern, but my dad, always a skeptic, shook his head and laughed. When he saw we were serious, they agreed to come with us, though I could tell that they thought it was a kid's overactive imagination. With my parents in tow, we spent what felt like hours retracing our steps through the woods, following what we remembered of the path. We finally spotted the twisted slingshot-shaped tree standing exactly where we found it before. My heart leapt, but when we scoured the area around it, there was no sign of the door. No rusty handle, no disturbed leaves, just bare earth and untouched forest floor. It was like the whole thing had never existed. My dad muttered something about kids and their stories, but when we walked back home, I caught a worried look in my mom's eyes. Madison and I exchanged a glance too, and in that moment, we knew we'd experienced something no one else would ever believe. Even now, 15 years later, Madison and I can't shake the memory of that day. We've gone back to those woods more than once, trying to find any trace of that hidden door, but it's as if it never existed. We have no explanation for what we saw, no way to make sense of it. Every time I visit home and glance up at the woods, a chill creeps up my spine, and I almost expect to see the door waiting there, half buried and forgotten, just as we left it. And no matter how hard I try, I can still see that eerie photo in my mind. The eyes, the strange grin. It's like it's burned into my memory. Okay, first off, beautifully written story.
Very well
Beautifully round of applause.
Yay!
That was a beautifully
Someone did good in their lit
beautifully
classes.
written story. Subparadult. Beautifully written story. Amazing. Oh, you did get a quality post flare on there. That's sick.
Okay, so because it's so well written, I'm like, if this was a movie in my head, here's how it would go. That house is their grandmother's house, and the reason why their mom was weird about it is because she either was one of the girls in the photos, or she knows the girl in the photos, so she has a whole like tie into that they don't know about yet. If I was writing a horror movie, that's how it would go.
Trademark. We're gonna make a horror movie. That's our horror movie. Shut up.
It would be so good.
That's a really... I still can't believe how well written it is. Like, it almost doesn't seem true because of how well written it is. Obviously, it's on the true scary story, so I don't think you're lying. If you are, be very sad because this is such a good
true
story.
Scary stories.
Yeah, don't be lying. I think that's such a good story. I'm shook. I'm shook. I can't believe it. I just have to keep rereading it over and over again.
Especially the location of it. There's so many weird things that happen there.
The twine on the trees and stuff makes me think of the forest at the bottom of the mountain in Japan.
Is that the one where people all go and like... Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. That's what they do. Like, if you go to Mount Fuji with that intention, a lot of people will bring some sort of like twine or string to map their way out. So if they decide to change their mind, they can come back. Or so people can find them.
Yeah.
So that's what obviously you guys are doing that with not that intention, but
yeah,
that's what it made me think of. But that's really smart that you tried to make sure that you could get your way back.
Very Hansel and Gretel.
I was about to say it's very Hansel and Gretel because you leave a tread of breadcrumbs and you stumble across this little house. I'm impressed that you guys went down into that.
Oh, yeah.
Because that would not be me. Even as a kid, if I found a latch in the middle of the woods, that's some lovely bone shit.
It is.
That's some lovely bone shit.
See, like, part of my thought is like, okay, does it... Well, it says they're in Appalachia.
Mm-hmm.
And I know here where we live, like, it was common to build bomb shelters and things like that. Mm-hmm. So you have doors that lead underground specifically for that reason.
But they're like next to houses.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
This is like far enough out.
Yeah. And they don't say that it was like a shelter. It doesn't sound like it's a shelter. They just said it's a cramped room.
Yeah.
And then in the middle of the floor is a picture.
Yeah. Which is strange.
That's not a shelter. There's not food. It's just you can't eat a photo. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, nibble at the paper? What happened? I'm looking at the comments now with you.
There's one comment that's like, I have a familiar story, and they're like, do tell. Nothing. They did not tell. But they also said, no, that was flippin' scary. And they don't tell, what is your story?
Yeah, there's like no other comments. There's not a whole lot of comments here, which is crazy.
For a quality post, you think there would be more comments.
Especially for a story that's written that well. Like, it's insane. I'm just baffled by how nice that story was to read. Like, that was so good.
To our 32
Thank
subscribers.
You so far.
Maybe go comment and get that some more traction.
Yeah, honestly, I would love to hear some other people's thoughts on that because that's so scary. I seriously can't even imagine finding that's so Blair Witch too.
It is.
Yeah, there's oh my god, just
the amount of scenarios where I would just keep walking.
Yeah. Nope, I didn't see that.
That's not my problem.
Oh, please, do you have any other stories? Because I would love for you to write more stories because that was so fun to read. You're such a good writer.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so good. And I would love to know if you had any, oh my god, if you had anything else.
Yeah, any little details that you remember. Or talk to your mom.
I feel like they would have more updates because it was 15 years ago.
That's
so there had
true.
to be.
If the updates were going to happen, they would have happened.
Okay, well, here's something. If you lived in Appalachia for your childhood, what did you experience anything else? Was there anything more
That's a good question.
that you experienced? Because we would love to do a episode on Appalachia, or episodes on Appalachia. So if you have more stories, beautifully written stories that you would like to share,
please
give them.
Please.
If you're not watching, I'm moving my hand in a give me motion.
Gimme your stories.
Yes.
Story 3. Something in the woods tonight. I figured I'd post this here to get some thoughts after I've terrified my wife. I want to preface this that I've hunted and hiked in the region since I was 9 years old. I'm very familiar with the wildlife and the sounds of the forest. I'm not really a believer in any sort of thing, but I don't really have an explanation for what happened tonight. I hiked about 1.5 miles through the forest and swamp deer hunting today, and got into the pocket of the woods and a field that I wanted to be in, and climbed a tree to hunt out of. By all accounts, this was an uneventful afternoon and evening until sundown. For about 30 minutes straight, I listened to a rabbit being tortured and just wouldn't die. If you've heard a dog or a hawk or hunted rabbits, you know what I'm talking about. When they're distressed, they scream bloody murder, and this just seems to continue forever. Naturally, this can make you on edge, but I figured a hawk got it and just wasn't killing it. Then the sound of a twig snapping and silence. The rabbit stopped. Through the thicket, I could make out a figure, vaguely deer-shaped, moving through the woods, about 35 yards away, so I grabbed my bow. But the undergrowth is far too thick for me to pick out much more than a rough outline. It walked behind a tree and disappeared. The sun is now fully set, and I'm in the last 15 minutes of post-sundown light. I hear a flat, emotionless child's voice coming from where that deer disappeared. Help, help, help. No fluctuation or distress to the voice. Not said as if asking for help, just a statement. Help, help, help. It said probably about 15 times, and then the woods went silent. There wasn't even a breeze to make a sound. Then the crack of a limb of a tree snapping, and all hell broke loose in the woods. Squirrels, birds, and deer suddenly shot out of the woods like bats out of hell, sounding like an absolute stampede through the forest. And then silence again. To make things worse for me, I lost my hat clip light on my walk-in and had to haul ass 1.5 miles through the woods back to my truck in the darkness, my path only lit by tonight's full moon. As someone who gets a headlamp every year for Christmas, having to hike back after being spooked in like complete darkness other than like the very little like light that you get from the full moon. I would have peed my pants everywhere.
Again, I'm like, Wendigo.
Okay.
Wendigo.
Have you heard the sound of like rabbits dying?
I don't think so, and I don't think I want to.
I will not subject you to it at any point, but it is awful. Because there's this movie Under the Stars thing that happens in the hometown that I'm from.
Uh-huh.
And to get up there, you have to drive through this wilderness woods. And coming back down, there's a lot of rabbits.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people hit the rabbits. So you like hear their sad little screams because there's nothing you can do for them at that point.
I don't like it.
But it's an awful sound. So to hear that and then have to wander back by foot to your car with nothing but the light of the moonlight. God, I hope it was a full moon so you could see a little bit more. This whole scenario sounds like something. Absolutely. I'm not going outside anymore is what I've learned from this episode.
Yeah, no. Also... Ew. That's what I have to say about that. That makes me feel so uncomfy. And I believe you 1000% because I play Phasmophobia a lot. And one thing in Phasmophobia is that if you're alone, ghosts target you a lot more.
I believe that in real life.
So you're hunting in the middle of the woods. I read a comment too that says you're in Wisconsin. So you are in the woods, right? You're in the woods. I lived in Wisconsin. I don't know what part you're in. But I lived in Wisconsin. So I know some areas are like the woods are pretty dense and you're out, it's starting to get dark. It's just getting to dusk. and all the animals scurry from the area, and you're listening to this screaming sound for a hot minute. Ain't no way. Oh, hell no. Hell no.
There's people in the comments saying that this was a crawler.
I was seeing that too, and I've never heard of a crawler, so we're going to have to touch.
A crawler is from Zach Backins. Notice us.
I've never
talking about like just like the things that like dark spooky things that tend to be on the floor. They're like, it's a crawler, but I don't know in reference to this what a crawler means.
I don't either. We'll have to touch base on that later because I don't want to like go on a deep dive of crawlers right now, but a lot of people are saying that.
Yeah, there's a whole thread called crawler sightings.
I see that. Crawler sightings. We're gonna have to follow that. We need crawler stories. Call out to crawler.
Crawl out to crawler Reddit. Please let us know your stories.
That's so scary, though. Help. Oh my god, I can't. I can't.
You're making me pee my pants.
I'm gonna have nightmares tonight.
Yeah.
It's what? It's 9:30 p.m.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have nightmares when I go to sleep after this. I can't do that.
Yeah.
My dad hunts a lot, so I wonder if I was talking to him,
if he would be like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah.
I would ask him if he'd ever experienced anything. But he's not a very like superstitious person, so I don't even if he did. But yeah, if you go hunting, because sometimes, unless you go hunting with somebody else, but you're in a blind, either on the ground, but most likely up in a tree. And a lot of blinds don't have a whole lot of coverage. There are some blinds, they're on the cheaper side, that are just like platforms. So you're just sitting on this platform out in the open, in the middle of the forest. But I would, if I ever did go hunting, which I never will because I can't stand the thought of killing an animal that makes my skin crawl. But if I ever did, I would never want to be in an open.
No.
You know, like I don't want to be in an open blind. I want like some sort of shelter around me. But I feel like there's been a lot of like experiences. Even before we started this podcast and I would read scary stories on Reddit, I would see a lot of stories about people hunting and hearing stuff while they're in their blind.
Yeah, because you're in the middle of the woods.
By yourself most of the time.
Strange things happen. You're
sitting in the
quietly.
dark. Yeah, you're sitting quietly. You're listening to your surroundings and you don't have any lights on. Like you're just sitting there and then you go to sleep and you just hear the forest all night. Oh my God, that makes my back hurt. I can't. That's so scary. That's so scary.
Not entirely related to exactly this. But I watched this like Sasquatch show with my mom, and one of the guys that she was like in some sort of military thing with early on is now on that show as a Sasquatch expert. And they're like military background.
Interesting.
And she's like, yeah, I remember him.
Did he like Sasquatch then?
I don't know. I'll ask.
Huh.
Yeah, but she's like, I know you. He's the one who's in charge of building traps to get Sasquatch.
Yeah.
As far as I've seen, they had like a little goat to try to tempt it. They've never caught anything.
Would Sasquatch be a hear me out?
Hey, yo!
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, hear me out.
No, I have a friend who like, she does not like a hairy man, which makes sense with who she's marrying. He's a very...
Bald. He's a Sphinx cat.
Other than
hairless
hair right
over?
here.
Oh.
Honestly, if she could find a Sphinx cat of a man, I would not be surprised.
Yo.
It's just surprising because she really loves Sasquatch, but she hates a hairy man.
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's something about how primal I bet Sasquatch would be.
Huh?
You know? I'm sorry. He just...
I'm hearing you out.
He'd be an animal. Imagine all the spots you could grab onto. I'm gonna say it.
What
he's
you're saying?
massive. He's massive.
Oh my God,
he's like 8 foot, 9 foot tall.
I was not thinking about that type of mass.
Oh no, I bet he is massive though, dude. If I had the chance.
I want to, at some later point, I'm going to show you various versions of like how Sasquatch is imagined, and I'm going to make Smash or Pass.
Oh
Like,
my
I want to know that version. You're like, Smash, Pass.
Yeah, that would be really funny.
What's the line?
You know what I thought of after we did it?
Did our
Hear Me Out cake? Bar talk.
the bat? Fair. Smash.
Yay!
Yeah, that's
oh my god, yay!
I'm like, that's not even a hear me out.
Oh my
That's a Smash.
A bat? Okay, I'm glad.
When you say it like that.
I'm glad to know that you're as fucking weird as I am. She said bar talk? Oh yeah, period queen.
Duh, Smash.
That's so funny. Also, what's
when
his
they brought
name?
in Anastasia 2 and they had like a cute girl bat bar talk, I was like, that would be me if I
Well,
was
that's
in this
bar
movie.
talk too. Because there's bar talk, and then the second bar talk is when they bring in the
my God.
lady bat. Honestly, the past few stories we've read have been really scary, and honestly, I feel like I might. You know what? This is kind of dampering my mood, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was in a decent mood. I wouldn't say a good mood, but I was in a decent mood when we started this, and now I'm gonna have to. Ow, I just poked my eye. Oh my god. I'm gonna have to make some tea, and I'm gonna have to take a bath, and I'm gonna have to watch Desperate Housewives. Because you guys have really messed up my night.
Yeah.
I really hurt my eye.
Did you really?
It's fine.
I don't know if you can tell, but I am not a woman of the woods. And
I
this
love
is
the
making me
woods.
less so. No,
I love the woods.
I
See,
am not
we
a
were.
woman of the woods.
Oh, we weren't talking about it. I was talking about it with Gabby. Let's post a picture again. I can't stop messing with my eye. I was talking to Gabby last night on her stream, and we were talking about like what we prefer, beach or forest. And I'm like, I just love walking in the trees and sticking my feet in the mud next to a river and just listening to the trees talk. It's like my favorite thing in the whole world. When my therapist asked me what my happy place is, it is Bella and Edward's the meadow. I'm not even shitting you. I'm sorry. I know that's so cringe. But it's not even like them being there. Listen, hear me out. Hear me out. It's like when I imagine my happy place, it's like sitting in the middle of a meadow, surrounded by trees. Behind that, it's all mountains. Yeah. There's like wildflowers and butterflies and the wind's blowing through the trees and you can hear birds chirping. That's my happy place.
It seems like a really nice meadow to be in, to be fair.
A little babbling brook.
I love a babbling brook.
I love when those brooks be babbling, those babbling bitches. Story 4. I think we accidentally summoned a spirit in the woods. This story takes place in November 2022. At the time, I drew a special elk tag in the Beaverhead Mountain Range of central East Idaho. I had hunted in this area many times before over the years, and I know the area like the back of my hand. It became a place of comfort and good memories. It still is, but I haven't looked at it the same since the story I'm about to tell. I planned a week-long trip for the first week of November and took one of my best friends with me. We spent the first 4 days hiking up and down various ridges, chasing elk, and having a blast. The nights were spent storytelling and eating soup by the stove. Mind you, it was November in Idaho, so it was very cold. It was the 4th night of the trip. It had snowed during the day, and a fresh layer of snow lay on the ground. The sky had since cleared up, and a very cold but still and quiet air had settled in. My friend and I had gotten into a deep discussion about the Bible, spirits, cryptids, flesh pedestrians, etc. I should note that my friend had, at the time, been experiencing a decline in his mental health, and it was not uncommon for him to sometimes behave erratically. This will be relevant later in the story. During this conversation, I felt an intense fear kind of settle onto me. It almost felt like the air had become tense. I had the urge to change the discussion into something else, but that's when it happened. Within 20 or 30 yards of the tent that I thought at first was a coyote began yipping and barking very loudly. I looked at my friend, who became excited and told me to grab my gun so we could go look for this thing. It was strange though, and something didn't feel right. The animal, whatever it was, didn't exactly sound like a coyote. It almost shrieked as opposed to yipping the way coyotes do, and it would occasionally bark and at times almost scream. I'm also an experienced outdoorsman, and any other hunter knows a coyote would not approach a tent in the middle of nowhere and draw attention to itself. It would continue to vocalize for about 3 to 5 minutes at a time, circling the tent from a distance. I reluctantly grabbed my rifle and my spotlight, very bright, intense flashlight, and started looking for this thing. As I stepped about 10 yards away from the tent, I heard it again, directly in front of me, shrieking, barking, etc. I shined my light directly at it. I could see probably 150 to 200 yards in front of me, yet nothing was there. No eyes shining in the light, no outline of an animal or person, nothing. After repeating the same scenario 3 to 4 times, we gave up and went back in the tent to warm up. But the sound wouldn't stop. At one point, when it went silent, my friend poked his head out of the tent and yelled, "Hey, shut up." He was immediately answered with a scream from the animal.
Oh my god.
At times, it sounded like it came from above the tent in the tree we camped under. I tried to play it off as a coyote or maybe a hunting dog that got lost, but I could not convince myself that it was either of those. We ignored it for the rest of the time. It slowly started going further and further away from the tent until it finally stopped about an hour or so later. The next morning, I looked around the area for tracks, yet to my surprise, I found nothing but our own. We didn't talk about it for the rest of the trip, and a few days later, we went home. Now, I don't know if this is all related, but about 3 months after this, my friend had a complete mental breakdown and has since never been on a hunting trip. Some in his family, a deeply religious family, questioned whether he was a victim of some spiritual attack or something of that nature. I didn't correlate the two at the time, but in hindsight, I have so many questions about that night. Is it a coincidence whatever that animal was appeared during the particular conversation? Could it have actually been a coyote or a wolf? Why couldn't I see the eyes gleaming with a flashlight? Did this incident have something to do with my friend's mental decline? My friend would sometimes tell me and others about strange things he saw or heard. Was this related? If anyone has anything to point out, please share. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Outside again.
Okay. Another really fantastic written story. Somebody said that in the comments. This is a really well-written story. It is. It is a really good story. I actually, now I'm looking at it, I was messaging this person earlier, and they're the person that said that our podcast was really good.
You're good. Have you checked out your writing skills?
Wow.
Thanks.
That's so crazy. So, oh my god. Somebody said should have looked in the trees. Don't do that. That's literally how you see things.
Yeah, some people are saying, like, is it a rabid animal that's not afraid
Sasquatch.
to get close to
Oh shit. One of the comments says that they were actually specifically talking about flesh pedestrians.
Ooh, what I've learned from Addison specifically is that if you say that out loud, they'll come for you. So this comment is saying that OP is not sure how the conversation got started, but one of the symptoms of their friend's mental decline was type of religious paranoia. And he would believe in very minuscule things, that sins or excessive pleasure. He began to believe that very minuscule things were sins or excessive pleasure. So, for example, I told him after that snowy, wet, cold trip, I would go home and have a long, hot shower and sometimes drinks with my wife. I asked if he would also take a long shower, which he aggressively replied, know too much pleasure. So his whole point of this is like talking about like the Bible and his viewpoints on certain things and talks of spirits could have kind of affected his friend's version of some things.
Yeah, and I'm reading this other person's commenter or comments, this other Redditor's comments, and basically they're like, well, if you didn't encounter it, then it's definitely not a flesh pedestrian, which I can understand that, like, that thought process, because it's like the flesh pedestrians are pretty, like,
If you're gonna know.
Out to get you. So it's, if there was like no physical contact, I couldn't see that being a thing. But it is really strange that you were talking about it and saying it, because that's one of the things that it's one of the, what is it, the myths, the lore or whatever, that you're not supposed to say it out loud because it pulls it to you. But I mean, I feel like if you're talking about stuff like that, you're just kind of asking for something to come up to you. But at the same time, like we have talked about before, mountain lions have some really freaky sounds. They can sound like a lot of different things. Like they can sound like a cat, they can sound like a dog, and they can sound like a screaming person. Mm-hmm. So that could have also been a thing. And if you're hearing it from above your tent, like mountain lions climb into trees all the time.
That's very likely.
And if it didn't like attack you because you like maybe they heard you, it got scared, it ran away. Yeah. That could be a thing. I don't know. There's so many possibilities. But the biggest thing is that that's terrifying.
Yeah. No matter what it was, it's something that was scary.
Yes. I could
something
not.
That you don't want to encounter.
Could not imagine. And especially with a friend that you know that isn't having the best time mentally, how that's affecting them too, especially like that's your friend and you're experiencing this like terrifying thing together, and they're going through this mental crisis where they're having all of these thoughts of anything being this excessive sin, and now they think they're being punished for something. Mm-hmm. So that's a lot to like deal with too while you're trying to do this. Oh, that sounds so scary.
I hate that.
I hate that. Good for you for getting through that,
and for, as it sounds like, continuing to go into the woods and go hunting.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad your friend's doing better now. I noticed in the comments that you said that they're doing a lot better, so that's really good. But oh boy. Oh,
yeah,
boy.
This is another comment saying that it could have been a fox because they also make crazy noises.
Yeah, it could have been a lot of different, like...
I'm hoping best case scenario. A fox making crazy noises.
Yeah.
Who knows, though?
Yeah, who knows? But the best thing, the positive, is that no one was harmed. Mm-hmm. Nothing crazy happened. You had a really scary experience, and now you can share a cool story to all your friends at Thanksgiving.
Cool hunting story when you're out there.
2 ladies get to read it on a podcast and give their silly little thoughts on it.
Yeah.
And all we have to say is that's terrifying and we have no idea what it is.
Spooky, scary, no idea what it is, because does it look like I like to go outside?
No, it's really scary. Oh boy. Somebody said lol, popping off a couple rounds would have calmed it down. Boy.
Maybe. Boy. I don't want to be wasting my bullets like that. If something's coming for me,
I'm not trying to just like waste precious ammo, my guy.
No. Every shot counts.
Somebody's comment is talking about what we talked about like 2 days ago.
Sorry.
About like talking about something so much that you speak it into existence. Yeah, that's what this person's
superstitious about that.
I am too, and that's why I don't say the flesh pedestrian thing, because it's like that's not even.
As soon as you told me that, I'd never said it again.
Yeah, that's not even like my like culture or anything, but I still take from it. I take from it because I'm too stitious.
Who am I to tempt anything?
Nope.
You know?
Nope.
Be it the devil, be it fate, be it whatever you want to call it.
No.
Who am I to tempt it?
Yeah. And especially if, like, you're at a lowered mental status
where
you're weakened and you're more susceptible. Like, that's how every single monster known to man attacks victims. It's like, hey, you look like a weak little punk bitch.
I'm after you.
Dead.
That's why, like, every single spooky thing that I've watched whenever they go to what historically was a mental institution, those are hot spots for activity because
that's
those
where we
things
need
tend
to go.
Prey.
We need to go.
I'm gonna pee.
There's one not far from us. Did you know that?
Is there really?
Yeah, an abandoned one that we can go to. When I googled like abandoned,
get ready to see me pee on camera.
That's for our OnlyFans.
Patreon's fans only.
Oh my god!
Pay to see me pee my pants. Because I'm gonna be so scared.
You'd make so much money.
Oh my god.
There actually is. There's like a few places that you can go that aren't very far from us. When I was younger, I would go to abandoned places quite often.
Yeah.
And there was this one place that was in this little town in Texas. A lot of people went to it. But there was actually a hospital like 10 minutes away from it, an old like veterans hospital that closed down, I think, in like the 80s. And
not long enough.
Yep.
No.
Me and a few friends of mine went into it. We brought a Ouija board.
Oh my god, Addison.
Yeah, not the smartest. Yeah, we used one at the Veterans Hospital, and it started moving, and it started like spelling out somebody's name, and then it spelled out like it was like 1967, like because we were like, when did you die? And then it was like in Faz, like literally, like we felt like, whew, and then like the candles flickered, and then we heard like a low like growl, and all four of us were like, no. So we booked it, and I'm telling you, I've never in my life been so scared.
Yeah.
And I literally like got in the car to drive home, and I listened to this one song. I listened to Gospel of John Hurt from Alt J.
Yeah.
On repeat the whole way home. And I was like,
so in my education of horror movies, specifically with you, I've learned a very important thing that you're supposed to do, which is end it and say goodbye.
yes,
Did you hang up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Always. No, that's
I just had to make
the
sure.
number one rule. You want to try one?
I am too
I have
black
one upstairs.
I am too black for that. I'm going to be real honest with you and call it what it is. No. I remember in college, I was like trying to study for my finals because we had to like do all this like series of things and all these different programs. There's like multimedia. It's like you have to do this, this, and this, and you have to just know how to do it. No notes. So I'm going into the lab to study really late at night, and I walk in and I see my ex-fucking boyfriend and all of his friends with a Ouija board, and I'm like, no, I'm leaving. I'll fail. That's fine if I fail. I'm paying, I don't know how much to be here. I'll fail. That's fine. Because I would not Ouija.
I would not Ouija. I'm not Ouijaing. No Ouija.
No.
No Ouija for the Meiji.
No. Absolutely the fuck not.
That's so funny. Yeah, No.
Not happening.
No. I don't think I have anything else to share.
That's
scary.
No, that's so scary.
I hate it. That's it.
It seems like cold, dark, scary, which is why I stay in my house when it is wintertime.
Yeah.
Well, how is that for some freaky forest stuff? Do you think you want to frolic through the forest again?
I can't imagine that Bella and Edward's meadows seem so nice now, does it?
Does not.
Well, if you liked being uncomfortable, don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on Reddit, TikTok, Spotify, YouTube, whatever you prefer to use, Apple, Amazon, all at What Was That? _ the pod. If you're on Spotify and Apple, it's just what was that with 2 question marks? Yes, 2 question marks. And if you would like to email us with your own stories, please email us at whatwasthat.thepod. And we would like to
French.
thank... What?
We're French. We.
And we would like to thank all of the Redditors that let us use our stories today. Seriously, they were beautiful. Yeah. You were all beautiful.
So well written
amazing, incredible. I can't wait for you guys to listen to the episode and let us know what you think.
Mm-hmm. If you have any more stories, let us know.
Please.
Yeah, please. It sounds like you guys kind of get out into the wilderness a little bit.
Yeah, you guys like to be
surprised if you have a little more. If you have more stories, your friends have more stories, your family has more stories.
Oh, shit. Anyway, Jasmine, would you like to take a little stroll with me through the... Wait, what was that?